I'm Chris. This is Danny, Beth, and Wally.
They kind of look like dorks.
It's a real discovery. When you find it, you feel like you've discovered it.
It's just very exciting, and they go on such adventures, and it's just so out there.
We still retain the freedom to make it into something that we're really inspired by.
The show totally took off in a way that I had not expected it to.
It's been enormously successful.
Frederator doesn't particularly have a style. My point of view has always been, who is a great creative person who we can be fans of? And if they have a voice that we believe in and they've created characters that we can fall in love with, we're in.
Working with Fred, it's always kind of an adventure. We work on 100 different things at the same time.
Penn Ward was a student at CalArts.
Every spring they have a producer show where they invite people to come and see the students' work, and his films were always terrific.
About a month after he graduated from college, he came in and he pitched us this show.
With a guitar in hand and sang the song and showed a couple of character designs. And Fred was like, that's an art piece. And Eric Coleman said, you laughed, you need to take this show.
That eventually became Adventure Time. And about 2 months after he pitched us the original Adventure Time, he came in with another cartoon.
Somebody in the group, Fred, wasn't into it.
I didn't find anything inherently funny about it, and we all started getting into a fight. And luckily, Penn, who is a very confident, creative person, said, look, it's really okay. I'll just bring it home. I'll do something else. Maybe I can come up with something else. A few weeks later, he walks in with Bravest Warriors.
It was just 4 kids. It was a 7-minute story. Much more crude, but in a charming style, very Penn Ward-esque.
When we came up to him and said, oh, great, we want to make this Bravest Warriors series, he said, well, number one, I'm not allowed to. I'm contractually obligated to Cartoon Network exclusively. And by the way, I just don't have 1 iota, 1 ounce of energy that I could think about anything else. You're going to really have to find someone else.
We said, all right, who do you want to bring in? Who do you think is the best person? And he said, Brian Burns, who also turned out to be Penn's roommate at the time.
Penn had just moved out of a place, and so I called up Penn and I said, hey, do you know anybody who needs a room? And he said, I'll be sleeping in my cart tonight. I said, okay, come on over, and I had a new roommate just like that.
Brian had already had a web series called Dr. Tran.
Can I help you? There is a chicken in your birthday wig!
What? Where?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
They didn't really know if I could do it. I'd worked on all these things that I had made on my own, but I never worked on like a television-sized production. So I would write a script and they would get it and they would go, no, it's not that, this isn't that funny. I'm not sure about this guy, Penn, what are you talking about? And so then they'd give me some notes and I would go back and I would try to write another script and they would go, no, you didn't, that's not that great either. So what I said was, let me write a script and not show it to you. I'll fully produce it and then I'll show you the cartoon the way I would have made it. I finished an animatic for Butter Lettuce and showed it to them and Eric was like, oh, you're hired. We get it.
Showtime! Brian Burns, as a director and showrunner, is very methodical and thoughtful.
Sometimes I feel like I was talking to like the local priest. If he had ever said my son, I wouldn't have been at all surprised.
When he first came in, Adventure Time was really at the top of its game.
I didn't want to be the guy who screwed up Penn's second cartoon. So there was a certain amount of like, I guess, pressure on that level.
We brought in the creators of Pete and Pete, Chris Viscardi and Will McGraw.
The thing that I felt having them around was being fearless. Like I was able to like kind of write whatever I wanted and then go to them and they would go, oh, well, this doesn't have a theme or a through line or character arcs or, you know, or whatever it was. And I was like, that's why you guys are here, like help me.
January 6th of 2012, the first note that I had written down was, they plan to fart in his crown.
All downhill from there.
That was exactly.
Penn's original designs were these really skinny spaghetti tubes that went into these giant boots and these giant gloves.
We had Phil Renda to design the 4 main characters.
Phil, under the direction of Brian, really brought that life to those characters.
Early on, I was doing things like making the eyes a little bit bigger, just because I thought that people would be looking at them on smaller devices, and I wanted the eyes to read a little bit better.
This is a good example of something that like Phil basically brought to the show. He designed the 4 characters, he did like the turnarounds from them. Phil did a really good job of giving them really cool outfits.
Teenagers wouldn't just throw on uniforms, they would sort of have their own personal sense of style.
I wanted people to be able to make these costumes and show up at conventions dressed as these characters.
Most of season 1 I wrote with Jason Johnson.
Awesome. That sounds perfect. I love that.
We come up with story ideas, and then we go, this isn't funny. Like, why aren't we laughing? Okay, let's just make each other laugh. And they're like, oh, there's no story here. And you start to stress out, and then you go back to story, and we keep doing that until the whole thing just kind of collapses on itself. It's a little bit chaotic, but I was sort of committed to doing it that way because that was the way we'd done Dr. Tran, and that was the way we knew how to make sure we thought these things were funny and kind of special.
If you people don't want my help, then I'll just take my good looks and my country pork rinds back to the bus stop. Pretend I was never here.
And the first storyboard that I did was bunless, and it was all about Beth and Chris have these giant butts, and they have to get these butts to fall in love with each other. And it was a challenge to just have these two butts facing each other and how to cut it and make it work. That was my starting point on it. I'm like, well, yeah, this is gonna be a really different show.
He does all the animatics himself. It's Brian's voice that we hear.
Even the women, and he'll pitch it up or something.
We're gonna die, horse!
Oh, right.
Psychic hooves of fire!
It's a little manipulative in a way. Because of that, at every single step, the cartoon keeps getting so much better and better.
We're gonna die, horse!
All right, psychic hooves of fire!
So I would kind of do the worst job I could on purpose. I was like, oh, I'll do this stuff and I'll have no shame and no one will ever hear it. And then I saw you guys had it.
Prancing! I'm prancing, Beth!
What are you gonna do?
One of the really cool things for me as an artist working on Bravest Warriors is that the scripts are always full of cool locations. I really get to have a lot of fun drawing futuristic tech, just like tubes and pipes and big, weird-shaped spaceship buildings.
There was a bigger budget here involved. No, it's not. It's a little tiny budget. Little tiny budget. And yet, we get a quality that looks way bigger than anything else.
Initially, Frederator had kind of assumed the show was going to be something smaller. And I thought that if it was any smaller than Adventure Time, that the fans of Penn who were coming from Adventure Time to see what's this, would be like, oh, well, back to Adventure Time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it had to, on some level, compete. And so that was one of the first things we talked about is, let's have it traditionally animated. It's literally drawn on paper.
They're scanning it into the computers. And so when we talk to them in exposure sheets. The best animators in Korea still use that system, and they're still training people into it.
처음 이 작품에 등장인물들을 적었을 때 각각 캐릭터들이 모습에서 확연히 귀엽다는 생각을 했던 것을 기억합니다.
제가 이해하지 못하는 이런 스토리를 우리 팀이 얼마나 애니메이션으로 잘 표현할 수 있을까 걱정되었고요.
인물들의 각각의 매력과 그리고 흥미진진한 이야기들로
작품이 거듭되면서 각각의 캐릭터를 자주 만나게 되면서 그들에게서 강한 매력을 느끼게 되었습니다.
앞으로 어떻게 되는지 정말 궁금한데요.
This is probably 4 different shows.
My name is Sylvia Edwards, and I manage production on Bravest Warriors.
Rather than a whole crew of people and departments and board artists and all the stuff that a normal show would have, we have a handful of freelancers that come and go.
They've really pulled together as far as the sensibilities of the show, the look of it.
One of the things that I think really helps Bravest Warriors stand apart from a lot of other cartoons on the internet is the sound design.
The style of the music of Bravest Warriors, I think the best way to put it is retro-futuristic.
Don't you die on me! And clear! You did it!
After the first season of Bravest Warriors, we had rotated through a variety of composers.
Brian and other crew members were aware of my work on MTV back in the 90s on Eon Flux. From what I had heard from Brian, they were temping in some of my music from Eon Flux for the first season to guide the composers.
When we started the second season, we had continued to think, oh, well, we'll bring in one composer for the heavier, dramatic episodes, another composer whose strength may be in comedy. Drew's strength is in everything.
We have valuable, important instruments like this one. We also have zippy whistles. And then, you have the Pinewood Derby cars.
Is that a sound maker as well? Is that a Foley device?
No, this was just a convenient place to put them. This is just a little bit of stuff. I got other stuff in the studio that we should go see. Sometimes it's like trying to find that weird balance between electronic and orchestral things, getting them to blend together in a nice way.
Drew sent over, after the first episode, a screen capture, and I guess at the ending of the cartoon, Neon Worm, there are 60 different tracks that he used at the same time, and I thought, my God, 60 different tracks.
Catbug's little dance number in Dimension Gardens, it's like...
surprisingly really care for the characters, which it doesn't happen that often in cartoons.
Really enjoy team dynamics, and I enjoy comedy that has a kind of sincerity to it and a heart to it.
It's about these like 4 teenage kids that just warp around different galaxies, attempting to save different planets. Most of the time they fail, but they try. So they really are the bravest triers.
Punch it!
A lot of the character development of the Bravest Warriors is linked directly to the performance of the actors.
I work at Cartoon Network Studios. I worked on Adventure Time. I was storyboard supervisor there. I knew Penn from that, and when he was starting up Bravest Warriors, Breen was looking for a voice for Wallow, and Penn, threw my name in.
Do you like Mexican guy singing? Do you know Spanish at all?
No, I definitely don't.
Okay, so you don't have like an accent?
No, I should not try that.
Bravest Warriors, that was my first ever animated series, or animated, I used my voiceover skills.
I didn't get the job at first, so they'd hired someone else to play Chris, and then through whatever happened there, he was no longer a part of the project, so they called me in. This is my first voiceover project, so I'm really excited about it. The first season of Adventure Time had just come out on DVD, and I was buying it because I'm a huge Adventure Time fan. I was in there buying it when I got the phone call. Like, Pendleton Ward, like I couldn't even handle it. Woo! To get my body into it. I can see a lot of Breen and Chris, and that's a great thing because Chris is just a genuinely good person.
I think I'm gonna head home and confront Daddy about these issues. Be strong, girl. Let me know how it goes. Thanks, Chris. You're a page.
You try to put a little bit of yourself into all the characters. Danny's a little bit more like I am now. Chris is a little bit more like I was when I was 17, and so when they talk to each other, it's kind of like my older self talking to my younger self. As strange as that sounds, I guess.
I am Danny in real life.
Maybe Jellykid can pilot the shuttle.
Self-destruct initiated.
Nope.
Anytime anything needs to be created, Danny's the go-to guy. He also has a little bit of an anger problem.
They're like, can you scream this line? Let's use it in everything.
We all do a lot of screams, but yeah, John, I'd say, is the scream master here.
I love Beth. Check it out, guys. I've got a sticker on my belt, and when I rub it, a little cat comes out.
Beth has got to be the resident fighter, like the warrior is Beth.
She's sassy, and she's down to earth. She knows how to tell it how it is. We can't hold Catbug responsible for his badass primal urges.
She's the one who's willing to just kick the crap out of anything that needs to get the crap kicked out of it.
Wallow is sort of like The Rock. He seems to be like everyone's friend. He's got like a really gentle heart.
He also has his pets. So there's this giant guy with these tiny weird little alien friends.
He values life no matter what it is.
For me, where Breen really channeled Penn in a great way was his use of lots of secondary characters that all happen to be really tiny, adorable, whether they're mutants or aliens or whether they're, bad guys.
Jellykid can make anything. Make us some weapons. Jellykid, no!
I know a lot of people are a fan of like Jellykid, so here you can see like that could have been Jellykid if he was like a Jello shot.
Wallow, your dog is bunk.
Ah, that's not my dog. That's Impossibear. I got you a present. Impossibear, that's a freaking bomb!
What?
Impossibear makes me laugh harder than I think any other character on the show.
He's a little guy, but he's got a big heart and a big personality. He's kind of always on the verge of wanting to hit someone in the crotch because he's so short.
Gas power stick! No! Hit me!
Here's the making of Impossibear. I was looking at like some Ewoks, I think.
I feel stupid saying this because everyone says it, but where the heck did Catbug come from?
I'm Catbug!
Breen, he created the cutest character of all time, Catbug.
I've come to the conclusion, if anyone pitches you any animation with a cat, say yes before you even look at it. And if the cat is hybridized with another animal, do it even faster.
I had done some sketches. It was just going to be a cat with wings, and then I gave them to Natasha Allegri, who did the first designs of Catbug. Then we gave that, along with my sketches, to Bob Flynn, and he's the one who came up with the ladybug wings, which seems crucial and seems obvious now.
There's all these fan drawings. So people are getting tattoos now of like Catbug.
I think Catbug is the Hello Kitty of the 21st century.
Chickapee!
Drop him!
Okay!
As much as Catbug is a cute drawing, that voice brings it to life in a way that nobody expected it.
My name is 7011.
And I play Catbug.
Sam is the cutest kid in the world.
Your mom said to say I could have just one peanut butter square, but not till after they cool down.
He comes into the studio and you let him do it his way. He reads it, and he was, reading when he was 4, and he was going right through everything.
Mint chocolate nog, old-fashioned cotton squash, super Chinese peanut butter.
It was great.
Oh, that was great. And then he's also an amazing mimic. I can do an entire couple of lines. Sam will do it just like I did it, with the same amount of passion, the same amount of enthusiasm.
Quiet down, please.
Quiet down, please.
Everyone.
Everyone.
It was almost gonna be like a woman pretending to be a little boy, which I think would never have been right for the character.
I mean, if it wasn't for me, there would be a Catbug that wasn't, funny.
He'll do things like repeat a line, and they'll leave it in like that and animate to it.
Okay, everybody, we gotta sit. We gotta sit up these wrinkly deflectors 20 meters in. That direction.
That's the hard thing about Catbug too, is because he's a little kid, he's growing up and his voice is gonna be changing. So it's what are we gonna do? Just get him to record as much as he can, just write lines that we think he might say later on.
Greetings, we're helpers from space.
There was stuff that was really challenging, like the paralyzed horse.
What about your horse? He realized the meaning of the universe back when we were 6.
Oh yeah, he hasn't moved since. He's always so blown away.
It doesn't move at all. It's like its face is never gonna change expression. It's just gonna float around. I'm like, oh, that's cool. It'll be easy. So I don't have to worry about doing facial expressions. But then I guess in Korea they had trouble animating it. They had to make sure they gave him distinctly all the a full turnaround on him so they could get him right.
Can't wait for the paralyzed horse plush toy.
Yeah. Cuddling with it.
New rigor mortis action.
Breen has done a really good job trying to manage this story in bite-sized chunks, because it's a pretty in-depth epic story.
It goes left, and then it goes left again, and then it goes up, and then it goes down, and then it goes loop-de-loop. You just never know where it's gonna end up.
It's become more emotionally complex as people understand the characters better and better.
I didn't know until the 5th or 6th episode what was really going on.
There's a lot to the characters that Brian knows, but that hasn't been on the show.
Because of the fact that we spent so much time writing scripts that didn't get used, a lot of stuff got developed that hasn't been seen. It has a lot to do with the time limits that we've had.
You're telling it many features in 5.5 minutes, or fractions of them.
In a longer show, you can have almost throwaway moments, I guess. Not really, you don't want to have those, but you can get away with more of those. Whereas in a 5-minute show, every single moment has to be solid gold.
We're just trying to figure out how to turn it into something that either has a great punchline or pretends to be a story.
Here we go, 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 here we go. Woo!
We hoped that it would at least do better than our totally independent work. So I was really happy that it didn't completely tank.
I've been really impressed by the Bravest Warriors fandom so far.
When I was at a Comic-Con, we were doing a panel, and there were 200 or 300 people outside waiting to get in, and there were 500 people already inside.
Something that I didn't expect was such a huge following of Bravest Warriors.
What line do they always ask you to do?
He could not wait to get to the panel. I mean, we were sitting in the audience and he kept going, when is it my turn? When do I get to get up on stage?
Meanwhile, the Bravest Warriors invisible hideout.
Running into people dressed as characters I've designed is totally surreal.
One of the producers comes up to me and says, there's a guy over there dressed as Impossible Bear. I don't know who was more excited to meet who. I think it's a tie.
Adventure Time was a huge success, and because of that, we developed relationships with a lot of licensees.
Our motto at Wheel of Fine is for fans by fans, because we like to emphasize the fact that we're all fans of the licenses that we work with.
I've never drawn a character and then all of a sudden it appear like this.
Bravest Warriors has the most successful merchandising program of anything on YouTube, and we've just started.
We've done apparel that is in different directions from t-shirts as much as possible, and that's kind of part of our business that we're looking to grow.
Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Take a peek.
Yeah, let's take a peek at it. Open it up.
Okay, you can do this, Catbug. I made the tent, but then the bird took it.
I have an action figure of myself. I could pretty much quit acting and be satisfied. I have an action figure. What else do I need in life?
You don't know what's gonna happen online. Generally, you see like a web series and they get like 10,000 views. We're in the millions of views now. And and I don't think anyone really expected it to be what it became.
Brian was excited. He was shocked that it did so well. And I'm going, oh, it must be good because you're all shocked that it did so well.
That's why we're willing to work so hard, is because we all love being a part of the project so much. Everyone is so willing to make the project continue and keep going.
It's the best job I've ever had. It's the hardest job I've ever had. It was such a great experience because there was freedom. It's just really fulfilling.
Never doubt the work. Never doubt the work.
I'm not drinking that.
Darkness is coming. How will you face it if you haven't unlocked your danged Emotion Lord powers?
My powers? Which powers?
Chris, we've got a purple honk! We got the book!
What are you two up to?
What has that old man done to you?
Danny? Is that you? Why are you a lion?